afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. My name is Minister Danielle Jeremiah of Spirit and Truth Deliverance Ministries, and I am coming to share another video with you today. It's Thursday, so here I am. So this Bible study today is a continuation of a Bible study that I did not last week, but the week before. In regard to 1 Samuel, the 15th chapter, where Saul had been anointed as king over Israel. Okay? So, what he needed to do as king, the requirement for him to be king was to listen diligently to everything God said. Okay? And guess what? His first run out the gate, Saul failed miserably. Okay, so I will put that video below so that you can look at that video and listen to the story. But anyway, so Saul's job, what God wanted him to do was to go to what was it? The Amalekites, and he wanted him to wipe them out. Okay? He wanted them to wipe these people out. Why? Because how they treated Israel when they were coming out of Egypt. God said, I want you to go in. This is the command. I want you to go in and I want you to wipe everybody out. Everything. I want you to wipe it out. Okay? So what Saul did was he kept the good things for the children of Israel, okay? He spared the king and he wiped out anything that wasn't good. That wasn't the command. God didn't say, save the king. He didn't say, take what was good from the land. He said, I want everything destroyed there. So what he did was, when he was confronted with the fact that he didn't listen to God's word, he didn't perform God's word, he wanted to blame the people. He didn't take responsibility for what he done. He didn't take responsibility. Now, I'm thinking, now it's just my opinion, I'm thinking that maybe things would have been different if he had taken responsibility, but he refused to take responsibility and he blamed the people. Okay? So then Samuel had to go and talk to him several times. He told Samuel that he had did what God said to do. Yet still, Samuel heard the bleating sheep in the background. He said, if you had done what God told you to do, I would not hear these bleating sheep. I wouldn't hear the low growl of the oxen. I wouldn't hear the oxen. I wouldn't hear the bleating sheep if you had done what God said do. He didn't take responsibility. So he was rejected from being the king of Israel. He was rejected. You gotta watch yourself when you get in leadership. You gotta watch yourself. When God elevates you, that is not the time for you to act like you've lost your mind. All of a sudden, you don't hear what God is saying. All of a sudden, you're doing your own thing. It's no time for that. Look at 15 and verse 1. It says, Samuel also said unto Saul, the king sent me to anoint thee to be king over people, over Israel. Now therefore, hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. That means not only hear what he said, but do what he said. It's very important that we follow God's word. I'm a witness. It is very important that we follow God's word. You know, there are times when God will give you a warning. Okay? He will give you a warning. You trying to go to the left. No, to the left. Okay? But he wants you to go to the right. And then he'll warn you of what happened when you go to the left. But because of our flesh, what do? We go to the left anyway. Because we think that we know better than God. Huh? We think we know better than God. But you don't know better than God. The Bible says there is a way that seems right to a man that leadeth to what? Leadeth to death. There is a way that seemeth right to a man, and this is Danielle paraphrasing, that leadeth to rejection. I don't want to live my life as a reject. Because instead of listening to what God said, now God a lot of times will give you chance after chance after chance, but in this case, Saul had this one chance and he messed it up. Again, as I said, I believe that if he had taken the least responsibility for what he done, then it wouldn't have got to this point. If you look down in verse 11, so God simply said at this point, after he had been disobedient, "It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me, and he hath not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night." So at this point, he wasn't rejected, but God said, "I'm sorry that I made him king." So then you have Samuel crying all night. Then Samuel goes to Saul and talk to him about what he done. He refused to take responsibility. It ended up in verse 23. So this is what Samuel said to him. "For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry." Okay? "Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he have also rejected thee from being king." So now you done added to your rebellion stubbornness. God can't use prideful people. He won't. Narcissistic, prideful people who won't take responsibility for their actions. God can't use you. God is looking for people who will obey what he says. He can't use us if we walk in disobedience. And I don't want to be a God reject. I don't want you to be a God reject. So God, we need to train our ears to hear what the Lord is saying. We need to train our spirits to do what the Lord tells us to do. Because let me tell you, the flesh don't want to do nothing that God say. The flesh, this flesh will reject God's word each and every time. Why? Because we think we know better than God. You don't know better than God. He knows. Follow as he leads. Okay? His first run out the gate. Rejected. Huh? Because he refused to take responsibility for what he done. He didn't listen. Then he let his stubbornness and his pride get the best of him. When we go against what God says, and we rebel against him, we cause witchcraft to come in our own life. Rebellion is what? What did he say? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. You better stop worrying about them witches and warlocks and worried about what you're doing to offend God. So now we're going to chapter 16. "And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel?" There are some things in our lives that God has rejected. There is some things that God has rejected that we refuse to let go of. And then in refusing to let go of it, we wonder why we're still having issues. If God rejected you, you have to be willing to let it go. Huh? So we know that Saul's mess up really disturbed Samuel, because when it happened, Samuel cried all night for him. So now we see in chapter 16 that Samuel is still crying. And God says, how long wilt thou mourn for Samuel, seeing I rejected him from reigning over Israel? Okay? You keep on crying. You keep on having an issue with it. He disobeyed my word. Now, this is what I need you to do. I need you to get up. I need you to fill the horn with oil. I need you to go, and I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. I understand that you loved Saul, but Saul's services are no longer needed. Huh? I know that you love it, but his services is no longer needed. I have chosen somebody else in his place, because it's obvious that he couldn't do the job. It's obvious that he couldn't do what I told him to do. So now I've chosen somebody else. So how dare you sit here and keep crying over what I rejected? Now it's time for you to get up. I don't care if it's the job. I don't care if it's a relationship. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's people. If God has rejected it, it's time for you to get up and move on from it. Huh? We hold on to too much baggage. It's been rejected, so let it go. We wonder why we suffer from depression. Huh? We wonder why we suffer from stress. That's because you are holding on to things that God has told you to let go of. You're holding on to past hurts and past problems. Let it go. A lot of the times, some of us have married people that God rejected. God warned you that you shouldn't have married that person, but you married them anyway. Then you want to blame God. The problems in your marriage, you want to blame the husband. No, what happened is you married a God's reject. Huh? You took that reject into your life. Listen, I've been married 2 times. And each time, the person was a God reject. But the flesh wants what it wants. When I think about some of the things, my God, that I did for love when dealing with these 2 relationships, when I think of some of the things that I did for love, huh? Yesterday, the Lord brought it to me, and I had to repent, tell God I'm sorry for those 2 attachments. Because then, attached to those 2 attachments, because of the pain of what I went through, then I accepted more rejects. We have got to stop accepting God's rejects into our life. And then wonder why we have the problems that we have. Even jobs we accept God's rejects. God didn't tell you to go over there. We accept words that don't come from him. God, again, God's rejects. What God reject do you have in your life today that you need to let go of? It's time for you to get up. It's time for me to get up. Because I'm telling you, when you accept those rejects, huh? Even when you let him go, there is residue left over from you accepting those God rejects. So God told him, Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him for reigning over Israel? It's time for you to get up. When I was studying the Bible a long time ago, I came across something I didn't know. I didn't know that Ezekiel had a wife. I didn't know. A lot of people don't know that Ezekiel had a wife. Okay? Ezekiel had a wife. And the Bible doesn't really say much about her. It doesn't say much about her. But God killed her. And he said to Ezekiel, I'm taking her away. And he said, I'm taking her away. And you better not cry about it. You better not mourn about it. So I was like, what? I will put that in the comments below as well so you can read that. He said, you better not mourn for her. I'm going to take away from you the desire of your eyes. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but you better not cry over it. That's what God is saying to some of us today. I'm taking away the thing that you desire. I rejected it, and you better not cry over it. And then once I take it, you better get up and move forward. He told them, I've chosen another king. Don't you cry over this one more thing. Don't you cry over this one more day. I've rejected it. Stop crying over what God has rejected. Stop mourning for what God has rejected. I know it hurt your flesh. You loved it more than anything else. But God said no. He said no. Danielle, God said no. He said, let it go. I don't know what it is today. Now, I know that there are some things that I need God to unattach from me. I don't know what it is today that you need God to remove from your life. The rejects. But I pray on today that that you get the strength that you need to walk away from it. So when he tell him, he said, it's time for you to get the oil. It's time for you to go. Get up off your feeble knees and lift your hands. You keep praying and crying about it. It's not going to get any better. It's going to continue to get worse. Why? Because God has rejected it. If you keep reading the story of Saul, you'll find that he had evil spirits that troubled him on a daily basis. And the only thing that could soothe him was the music of the new king that had been anointed, David. Listen, it's not going to get no better. As long as you holding on to God's rejects, it ain't going to get no better. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. That job going to continue to stress you out. That marriage going to continue to stress you out. Oh, you telling somebody leave their marriage. No, I'm not telling you to leave your marriage, but I'm telling you, you know, I know and God know that he didn't tell you that marry that man or woman. You was in your flesh when you made that step. God didn't tell you marry that person. God didn't send that person your way. You follow behind your own flesh. I follow behind my own flesh. Oh, he's so fine. He talking the right talk. Full of hell. Full of discord. Then they don't want you to do the things that God wants you to do. They don't want you to sing. Don't want you to minister. Don't want you to pray. God's rejects. Don't want you to read your Bible. Don't want you to fast. Huh? Oh, but he's so fine. She's so fine. Guilty. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to learn when to let these God's rejects go. We got to learn to stop crying over stuff that God rejected. And just stay in it because we think that we're martyrs for the kingdom. No. No. You bring it on yourself. Because you keep crying over what God has rejected. Let it go. Oh, what the people going to say? What the people going to say? Who cares what they say? They ain't got heaven or hell to put you in. What did he say here? And I'm about to wrap this up. So God tells him, now, listen. You know what? I done lost my place. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because it's something that he tells him. Something that Samuel says. I think he said that if he go anoint a new king, that Saul was going to kill him. And if you look at it, God really didn't respond to what he said. Wait a minute. Let me say it here. So he says, and Samuel said, and this is verse 2. How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. So you scared to leave it alone. You scared to walk away. Because you're scared of what the reject will do. If God says go, if God says leave, then it's time to leave. I'm scared of what the reject will do. God's got your back. He's protecting you. Man, I've seen it in the church where people have been in abusive relationships, domestic violence, everything. And a pastor or some religious fanatic will tell you that you need to stay. Oh, I'm going to stay because what they going to say, what the people going to say. I don't want to have anybody say that my marriage failed. I don't know why I'm talking about this marriage today. I don't want people to say talk about me because my marriage failed. He beating on you. You better get up and leave. Doggone what the pastor said in the church said. You better get up and get out of there before he kill you. For he will kill you. So God, it's like God glossed over what he said. And he said, take a heifer with thee and say, I am come to sacrifice for the Lord, and call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him who I name unto thee. Huh? Nobody worrying about him. Ain't nobody worrying about Saul. You better get up and you better go do what I say. God glossed right on over it. He didn't even respond to it. You better get up. You better stop that crying. And you better go and do what I told you to do. Ain't nobody scared of Saul. Saul ain't scaring nobody. Saul better be glad that I still allow him to live. He's rejected. Nobody worried about him. You better get up from there before you will die in it. You better get up from there before you will die in it. Somebody beating on you, and I don't know who this is for, but the Spirit is telling me to say, if he beating on you, leave. Because you're going to die if you stay. God has rejected it. He's rejected the marriage. He's rejected the relationship. He's rejected the business. He's rejected the job. And he says it's time to go. Stop looking back into Egypt. Stop looking back into Egypt. Stop looking. Stop looking. Again, transparency. When I was in Egypt, I was making a lot of money while I was working in Egypt. But in Egypt, I almost died. Stress at the job, supervisor stressing you out just because they feel like they can. Huh? Stressing you out because they feel like they can. Having heart issues. Mental issues. God said go, so I got up and left there. Now, when the bills come in, and you may say I'm always talking about the bills, but I talk about the bills because the worst thing that I want to happen, the worst thing that will happen is for me to have to live on the streets with my daughter. So I work so hard to make sure that everything is taken care of. Because then if the lights go off, the food going to spoil in the freezer. And I like to eat. So I can't be living in here the dog with spoiled food in the freezer. So then I get the light bill. The car. So God make the car payment. So then, guess what? When I was back in Egypt, I ain't had to worry about nothing. The rent, hey, no problem. Car payment, no problem. Light bill, no problem. Help people, no problem. Pay the babysitter, no problem. Now that I've left Egypt, God said it's time to get up and go. When I left there in May, he said, get up and go, don't look back. But I'm going to tell you, the other day I did something. And I said, oh God, if I was still in Egypt, this wouldn't be a problem. Now the bills are paid, but the bills are not paid in advance like I used to do it. They're not paid the way I want to pay them. Living on faith is something else. I'm going to tell you. It's when God swoops in at the last minute. Now, my flesh is a person that like to get things done in advance. But when you don't know where your next dollar is coming from, and then God swoop in at the last minute, huh? That's a lot to deal with. That's a lot to deal with. But I wouldn't change it. Because the things that he's done before is the evidence that he will do exactly what he said. I don't know who needs to hear that. But it may look like God is delaying what he said. Huh? But a delay does not mean a no. A delay does not mean that it's not going to happen. Because God will swoop in at the last minute, handle it, And then you're like, what was I worrying about? But yesterday, because of what was going on, I looked back in Egypt. I said, God, if I just take a property manager's job, I won't have to worry about this. God said, you better not go back. He said, you better not go back. God rejected that job. He rejected that job, and God's been taking care of me since May. Lights ain't been off. Food in the refrigerator. Rent paid. But I know that if I go back into God's reject, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose everything. Just might lose my life. So I'm here to tell you on today. Trust God. If he said to let it go, he's telling you to let it go for a reason. Your depression is attached to that reject. Your lack is attached to that reject. And you have got to learn how to walk away and not look back. Get up. It's time. You. Me. It's time to get up. And it's time to stop crying about it. It's time to move forward. Because God rejected it. And if he rejected it, it's for a reason. Instead of crying over, ask God, what is the next move? Okay, God, you rejected the job. You said to leave. You said to go. So what is the next move? What's my next move? And God will show you. You just got to be listening. He said, get up. Get up from here. And go and anoint the new king. Your new season is attached to your ability to get up and go, to move past it. You tired of being depressed? Let it go. You tired of crying? Let it go. Now this is speaking to me. Let it go. Stop complaining to everybody about the discord and get up and let it go. And then don't be afraid of what they say. Don't be afraid of their faces. Don't be afraid of their thoughts. Get up and go. Stop crying over spilled milk. It's over. It's a God's reject. Who, Jesus? Let it go. It wasn't worthy of you in the beginning. God gave him a chance and he failed. God gave Saul a chance and he failed. He saw him when he was small in his own eyes. And he decided that he wasn't going to listen to God, that he was going to go his own way, do his own thing. Not take responsibility for not listening to the word of God. And then had a nerve not to take responsibility. We have got to learn how to take responsibility for those rejects that we allowed to take residence in our lives. Who, God? He didn't smack my hands again. God, I'm sorry. For the rejects that I allowed to be in my life. I'm so sorry, and I apologize to you for the rejects. But Father, in removing the rejects, don't reject me. This has been Minister Danielle Jeremiah of Spirit and Truth, Deliverance Ministries. Be blessed. Be blessed. Just be blessed.